Have you ever heard of somebody who abducts little boys?
Room below's got some horrible smells.
We don't want to go in there.
What are you doing?
Compliments of room service.
Hello and welcome to another Dollar Store Drive-In. I'm your host, Laura.
I'm Joel.
And it looks like Bailey's on Joel's lap today, so we've got a little puppy that's joining us. If this is your first time watching, thank you for joining us. This is a half-hour chat show where we talk about a movie that we've watched. If this is not your first time, what are you pointing at?
The movie.
Oh, the movie. I was like, what's going on over there? If this is not your first time watching, welcome back. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. If you're listening to this, this is also a podcast that you can listen in your ear holes to. But this is a visual show. So we highly recommend that if you are listening to this and you're like, what the heck is going on? What is that weird sound effect that Joel put in the editing? You can find us at thenewlydeads.com for all of your Newly Deads needs. There you can find all the information about our shows and the different things that we do in the world. So Mr. Newly Dead likes to write blog posts. Yes. And I sometimes write blog posts. His blog posts are usually about movies that he's watched, movie reviews, things like that. I do reviews on small businesses. It doesn't have to be local. So if you are living in a different state and you want me to review your site or your product or whatever, you can just hit me up at contact@thenewlydeads.com and I will check it out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. We also do other YouTube shows on our channel, YouTube shows, YouTube shorts. So one of them is Sinister Snacks, and then occasionally we do follow us around. But Mr. Newly Dead also does a lot of really cool unboxing videos because he has a lot of toys and movies that he likes to review. As you can see, this is not even the full shelf behind us. But that's not why we're here. We are here to discuss a movie that we've watched. And this week we watched Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. That is right, folks. We watched Winnie the Pooh.
We've been waiting for this one.
We have been waiting for this one. Yeah. I'm going to read the synopsis and then, we will get on to the rest of the stuff. But, yeah.
What are the requirements for the movie?
Yes. In order to keep this show on a schedule and have the same kind of format each week, we've got some criteria for the movie. The very first thing is it needs to be under $5. This was definitely under $5. Mm-hmm. It needs to be a horror, thriller, or sci-fi genre movie, and it needs to be a movie that neither of us have ever seen before. And this movie hits all those points. So
it qualifies.
Now I'm going to read the synopsis.
All right.
On the front, it says, "This ain't no bedtime story." And the New York Times says, "This isn't your grandparents' Winnie the Pooh."
The New York Times.
The New York Times.
That's a reputable source.
That's not really a rave review. It just says, "This isn't your grandparents' Winnie the Pooh."
Yeah, no, probably the rest of it was maybe not. That they grabbed the part.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah. Okay, you ready? Enter the darkest corners of the 100-acre wood. 5 years ago, Christopher Robin abandoned his childhood companions, Winnie the Pooh and Piglet, and the woods in which they all played. Now an adult, Christopher has returned with his fiancée, Maria, in tow for a reunion with his old friends, only to find that in his absence, Pooh and Piglet have turned feral, silent, and murderous. What was once a joyous place of imagination and merriment becomes a violent battleground for survival in this audacious and terrifying spin on A.A. Milne's, right, beloved children's stories. Did I say it right?
That's how I say it. It's A.A. Milne, but I don't know. We could be wrong.
I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce it. I should have looked it up from last time.
That's all right.
Yeah. All right. So that's the synopsis. I think we're going to get onto the trailer.
Yeah, let's get to the trailer.
Yeah. And then we can see what's going on. You can watch what's going on, and then we can talk about what we watched. All right.
We got thoughts.
Just as always, the trailer's just coming from your side. I don't want to make it anything funky or whatever, but let's make it, I don't know. Can you do Pooh and Piglet?
I don't know.
Riding Eeyore?
That might be a stretch, but
yeah, let's just have him like going on a little like beep boo, walking through. Little trailer, little train, little Pooh train.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're gonna pause it, and we'll be right back.
Oh, bother.
You know, you're the first person I ever shown this place to.
And why am I so special?
Because soon will be Christopher and Mary Robin.
Oh,
We
bother.
should be close now.
We're not going to find them.
We will. Pooh, Piglet, Eeyore. We were friends for many years, and they're out there.
Christopher, we need to leave. Now.
I really need to find out what's happened here, okay?
This place is kind of cold. Did you say it has a pool?
We need to go. Laura's dead. There's someone else outside.
Oh, bother.
What was that?
Friends, why are you doing this, please? I would have never left, I swear, I swear.
Oh, bother.
And we are back. Mr. Newly Dead has some notes, and then we've got some thoughts.
We do. So whenever we watch movies, I will take digital notes and I will draw pictures. And then at the end of the year, Mr. Newly Dead will put them together into a flip book that you can find on our aforementioned website that will give you all the behind the scenes as far as what I thought, what I wrote down, how we get to where we are, and all the images that I draw that sometimes get turned into other artwork, but a lot of times just end up in the flip book. Mrs. Newly Dead this year also has said that she was going to take notes the entire year, and so far,
So good, although this week's a little skimpy.
it's a little skimpy, but that's all right. We'll get to that.
I tried.
She did. She's at least been consistent and done it every single week
I have.
regardless. So this week, there's only one drawing on here.
You drew a pig, a mean-looking pig.
I'm messing with cross-hatching.
Yeah, that was pretty good, actually. I
So-
saw you doing some lines when you were sitting next to me.
So
That turned out really good.
I've only done one other like little cross-hatching experiment, and you can't see it, but he's right there. It's just like a weird little pig guy. What about you this week?
I did, I was starting to do my hand lettering and then, failed. Drew a little like teddy bear looking guy.
It looks like a poo.
I wrote Blood and Honey Monster in the Woods. And then I drew Pooh with
Oh,
bad teeth.
he's a very toothy poo.
I don't know if they can see
You don't
it
want your
either.
poos to be toothy. Let me tell you from
Toothy
experience. You
Pooh.
don't want a
It's got
toothy
sharp
poo.
teeth. Does it look like Pooh though?
That does look like Winnie
I
the
was
Pooh.
pretty proud of that.
Now, Winnie the Pooh in this film does not look exactly like the Pooh of the A.A. Milne stories, nor does he have teeth that are really visible. But I'm pretty sure he has teeth. But
Sharp tooth.
yeah, I have some thoughts here. So anyway, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey is from 2023. Currently sitting at 2.9 out of 10 on the Internet Movie Database. Right. So this was directed by Reese Frake Waterfield, who is known for, he also wrote it. He's known for Fire NATO. I think it's come up on the show before. Sky Monster, which has not come up on the show before, but should have.
Yeah, I feel like you've said that name before.
And he also wrote or directed Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, which is currently going to be coming out shortly.
That
He
actually rhymes.
Winnie the
Pooh,
Pooh,
Blood 92.
he also wrote and directed The Killing Tree, the Area 51 Incident, and this movie that we're watching here. And he also wrote part 2. So this stars Nikolai Leon as the aforementioned Christopher Robin, who was also in The Killing Tree. He was in this film, of course, and he was in Alien Invasion. So pretty small resume at this point. This also stars Maria Taylor, who was in Perfectly Frank. Don't know what that's about. Mega Lightning,
Oh, she was in Mega Lightning.
which we've talked about on the show many times. We reviewed it if you want to go back in the archives.
I'm pretty sure we said Mega Lightning. every single time.
And the scene from Mega Lightning is you see a woman with a sword and there's lightning. That's Mega Lightning.
Mega Lightning.
Dinosaur Prison, which sounds like a horrible prison to be in. And of course this. This also stars Craig David Dowsett as Pooh, who was in this, of course, the Area 51 Incident. He did a music video and an episode of a TV show. And
He
that's
wasn't in Winnie the Pooh too.
it. Nope, he's not back for the sequel.
Hmm.
This also stars Chris Cordell as Piglet, who was in Curse of Humpty Dumpty 1 and 2.
Ooh.
Jack didn't like that. Jack's our
Yeah.
Chinese algae eater. He's very upset about that. He was in something called Croc with an exclamation point.
Hmm.
Not to be confused with the shoes.
I like when you yell croc.
Tooth Fairy 5.
Oh,
Not the first 4, just part 5 it looks like. And
no teeth.
Mega Lightning.
Mega Lightning also.
Yeah, we got a double whammy there.
Yep.
So at this point, my lovely wife turns to me and says,
What did you think?
the first thing I want to say is this was an ITN distribution film.
It was ITN.
Yep.
Yep, totally.
Our friends at ITN Distribution. Also, Christopher Robin was in this, which if you're familiar with the story, as I mentioned, Nikolai Leon played the character, and he is kind of integral to the story, actually.
Yeah.
Are we calling spoilers?
Yes.
This is a very
Oh,
new movie.
yeah. If you don't want spoilers, you know our show. If this is your first time watching, we do some spoilers. Like, how spoilery are you planning on going?
Well, I was going to give away the ending of something, but we can avoid that. It's not dire to the
Okay.
story.
Then let's skip the spoiler.
Okay. So first of all, Christopher Robin, like she said in the synopsis,
Yep.
and you saw in the trailer, he's friends with them. They're kind of these mutated or deformed or whatever creatures that are living in the woods that most people are kind of scared of.
Human-sized.
That are like normal, but they are, look like animals. All the characters are there in the beginning. You don't see them, but they do a weird animatic of him hanging out with them.
Yeah, like a cartoon.
Yeah, it's a pretty lo-fi cartoon, but it gives you an idea of kind of, a sense of that, and it saves on, budgetary stuff. But, he's friends with them as a little kid, brings them food, takes care of them, goes to the 100 Acre Woods to visit them. And then, of course, when he gets to college age, he's like, I got to go off and start my life. He leaves them behind, and he was their only source of like food and friendship, because I guess in the 100 Acre Wood, there's no source of food or anything. So eventually they eat Eeyore. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, that's in the beginning. That's not really a spoiler.
Yeah, no, that's at the very beginning of the movie. And they have to figure out a way to survive. So they start seeking out victims to keep them from dying. So he comes back with his wife, all excited to see them, finds out that they are now horrible entities that are murderous. And
yeah, he was all excited. He's like, I found their house. And he's all like, oh, and he's like, where's Pooh? Where's Piglet? And then he's looking around and he's like, this isn't what I remembered.
yeah, something's wrong, because like the jars of honey have blood stained handprints on them, and there's chains everywhere, and they've basically somehow gotten caravans and have placed them in this little like campground looking thing.
Yeah, like little silver, like what are those, like bullet, like kind of trailers?
I mean, for in the States, you'd probably say it's like a Winnebago trailer.
Yeah.
But if you're in the UK where this is filmed, you'd say caravan.
Yeah.
Or if you've seen Snatch, if you like Dax. Um,
I like that.
I'll fight you for it. But so it's interesting because in the 100 Acre Woods, they're not that far off the main drag, essentially, and apparently nobody's come across them or realized that there's so many deaths. But there's like outbuildings, and there's like a big fire pit where they hang out, and there's their caravans, and they have fires going at night. You'd think somebody would have noticed something.
They're not that deep into the 100 Acre Woods.
No,
It took him like 5 minutes to find them.
I mean, he knew where to go, kind of, but I mean,
Still.
they're these big hulking monstrosities.
There's a house that's like not too far from them.
Exactly. And there's a big one of the fodder for the movie, we won't give away any names or characters, but that ends up getting killed, runs into like a big storage warehouse area that's literally right next to where their camp is. And so somebody had to have used it at some point. Right.
Weird.
It's weird. And then they kind of do the reintroduction of the two, of Pooh and Piglet and Christopher Robin, in an animatic, which is an interesting choice also, probably to save on budgetary constraints. But all that being said, I know we're kind of maybe making it sound a little sketch at the moment, but the cinematography is really well done. I watched the 15-minute featurette after the film, and they were using drones, and they had, started out with a budget of £20,000 for a 7-day shoot. And after they immediately got the film picked up, they added it, or eventually went to a total of 12 days and £50,000 in costs.
Not a lot.
Still not very much, and not a very long shoot. I know Joe Lynch on the Movie Crypt podcast was talking about, I think his shortest shoot was like 11 days or something like that. I was like, so, in low budget filmmaking, it's not out of the realm. But they said most of the reshoots that they had were like effects stuff and kind of filling in a couple of gaps because the original ending was different and they kind of wanted to stretch the runtime.
The CGI stuff was a little sketch, when she got her head run over.
Oh, I don't know how much of that was CGI and how much was practical.
It was pretty CGI.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. Because I remember the eyeball, kind of popping out, and I thought it looked kind of.
And there was like this weird like blood. That was CGI for sure.
I know even Rob Zombie uses CGI blood in some of their stuff, and they got a bigger budget than these guys do. But he had said that once he heard that it had become public domain, he immediately came up with an idea, sat down, wrote it, got together with his partner. They decided they were going to go ahead and try and make this happen, and here we are.
There's a whole Pooniverse.
There is a Pooniverse that is in play, along with Part 2 and Return to Neverland and Bambi's The Reckoning, and there's a whole bunch of movies. I'm actually writing a review of this that will be on the website here soon, so look for that. Goes into a lot more detail about the current state of public domain characters turning into horror films. But anyway, that's another story. So Winnie the Pooh, you're kind of wondering about the honey thing. Apparently, in this version, he drools some sort of honey-like fluid. He cries it, like it pours out of him when he's upset or when he's sad or whatever, and he like collects it and he pours it on things, and Piglet apparently loves it and uses it as a way to get Piglet to do horrible things to people's faces and things like that.
Gross.
It was a little strange. We learned that Pooh can drive a car. Not quite sure how that happened. I guess it's a Michael Myers kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Reese in the featurette said that he wanted to turn Pooh into essentially a Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, because that's kind of where his bread and butter is.
Yeah, I mean that's what I would equate it to. He's very silent, very like just murder.
Yeah, the body count in this film is incredibly high. I'm going to say there's at least 11 to 12 people maybe that die in this film. Possibly 13, depending on how you look at it. It seems like there's no real rhyme or reason for the killing. Like originally they say it's a food motivation thing, like they're trying to survive. But they don't ever eat anybody except for one character that Piglet chows on.
They wood chip some people.
They would chip somebody. They're not small. They're pretty heavy characters. So eventually they figured out their food problem, apparently. But now they're just killing people for the heck of it.
They're pretty brutal.
They are very, like they don't, no holds barred. The instrumental score is well done. I was impressed with that. Wasn't your typical kind of low budget score, although they were kind of riffing on a famous piece of music, and it sounded like they kept saying that smell, and I don't know
Yeah,
what that was about.
that was weird.
Uh,
I do remember that.
yeah, it was strange. And based on how many people they've killed, you'd think they would have been caught by now. So around this point in the film, something happened.
I fell asleep.
She fell asleep. In her defense, it had been a very long day. She
That
had
was
a lot
crazy.
going on. She was cold. She was tired, and she couldn't help it.
I tried.
She
I really tried.
had intended on trying to watch the rest of it to fill in the gaps so she could actually talk about some of this last bit.
Yeah.
Time was not our friends, and we are under a schedule.
I'd
So
say I watched like 50% of
you
40.
missed about the third act.
Yeah,
more or
I missed
less.
the third act. So I did see lots of killing, lots of a little bit of boobs.
There was a one obligatory nude scene
Mm-hmm.
that made no sense. It just
Yeah,
was
her shirt
literally
was just
there.
off all of a sudden.
Yeah, they were
She
kind
had
of
a shirt and then she had no.
tussling, and then it wasn't like there was any SA happening or nothing like that, thankfully, but it just kind of happened. So I kind of equated this with like The Hills Have Eyes meets the Texas Chainsaw Massacre meets Winnie the Pooh and Halloween. That's a lot of things. Halloween.
Halloween.
But that's essentially what it was, and that's what they were going for. So they succeeded, I guess.
Yeah.
There was 4 characters towards the end that kind of come across some of the last characters that are remaining that you kind of look at them and you're like, oh, these guys are going to try and stop Pooh and Piglet, but then they're going to be like, well, now we got you. You got a pretty mouth. But they don't. They're like actually good guys that just look scary. And it was so that was nice. And there was some points where it seemed like Winnie the Pooh had claws. Like at one point he claws somebody on the face and like their skin comes off. He's on top of a car and they're driving and he's like latched onto it. But when you see his hands, he just has human hands that are painted yellow. So I don't know. Maybe it was implied.
The costuming and stuff was not great.
Which they're saying in the second one, the goal was to make Pooh more
Pooh-like.
Correct. Yeah, like on the poster he's fuzzy, but in the screenshots I've seen from it so far, he's not really fuzzy. But they've increased kind of the design of the mask so we can emote more and has a bit more like it looks more realistic. I guess I didn't think it was bad.
He never said, "Oh bother."
No, he did speak though at the end.
Yeah. You left.
That's all he said. You caught that part. I won't say why or when that happens, but yeah, he just kind of, and the way he says it, it's not like, the
Real low. You had to rewind it. Put
yeah,
on the subtitles.
because I couldn't hear it, but he's like, you left. And it's like, okay. They didn't try to do the Pooh voice at all.
No.
But all in all, I was expecting complete and utter like quick cash crap. And I have to admit that I didn't think it was as bad as everybody says it is.
I didn't think it was great, but I also fell asleep, so I can't really, weigh in like 100%.
Well, by the end of it, I was like, okay, I'm ready. Let's see the sequel.
I do want to see the sequel, and I do want to watch the third act that I missed.
Now, Pooh is not getting the love that some of the other characters out there that are public domain are getting. For example, that little mouse that we all know that has a name that rhymes with Ricky. He's got like, I don't know, 7 or 8 movies that are in the works or that are already done. One of them's coming out this weekend, actually. The Screenboat with David Howard Thornton. Popeye's got 3. Winnie the Pooh's only got 1 other movie that's not this franchise, where he faces off against Mickey, and it looks like it's a really low budget movie. So they're out there. You can find them. Check out my review, and I'll fill you in on some more on that in more depth.
Yeah.
So,
what are your final thoughts?
do you have any final thoughts?
The only thing I said is pretty terrible masks.
Hey, that's something.
That would be my final thought.
And this is what I said on Letterboxd as well, because I felt like it summed it up to me, which is it's not as bad as they say, but just as weird, which kind of equates with the fact that they're dressed in overalls and human clothes, and shoes, but yet they're, these giant animals that,
and Piglet looks nothing like Piglet.
No, Piglet looks like I don't know if it's
Like a
Bebop or
boar.
Rocksteady from
Yeah.
the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I
He
can't
looks like
remember
a
who's who.
boar. He's got like toofs.
He's got 4 teeth that are jutting out. I don't know how he eats anything.
Yeah.
It's no wonder he was starving.
And so on a scale of up to 5 Eeyore bones.
Oh no. And I was sad about I'm glad they didn't make Eeyore bad because he's our favorite character.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I actually might even watch this again. I would definitely watch the sequel. I might even watch some of the other Pooniverse movies as they come out. We'll see. I think the guy had a lot of heart that was going into this, so I give him a lot of credit. He was very charming to listen to him interviewed. That's part of the reason that made me enjoy this a little more, was that I felt like he actually cared about the property. He wasn't just doing it just to do it. So I ended up at 1.5 out of 5. But, you know, I feel like that could change. If I watch it again, it might go up, might go down.
I'm good. I'm just going to give it a 0 just because like I was going to probably give it a 1, but like I fell asleep. So I'm taking it away from that. But from the like, you know, like I said, 60% of it that I saw, I'd say like a 0 is good.
I'll have to give you the ending if you didn't catch it after we're off air. Because it is an interesting ending. So, yeah.
Great. So if they don't want to watch this movie, what do you recommend?
So I started thinking about all the movies that have come out that have to do with childhood properties that are turned into horror films. And I tried to stay within the last, like, you know, I didn't remember what year this came out. I forgot to write it down. But I went with the Banana Splits movie, which
that's a good, yeah. Mm-hmm.
we watched that together pretty early on in our relationship. So sometime in the last 6 years that it's come out. It was kind of riffing on the Five Nights at Freddy. I think they were trying to beat them to the punch. Which Five Nights at Freddy doesn't count because that's a modern thing. Banana Splits was from the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
But that movie was way better than it should have been. And I almost would say that it was better than Five Nights at Freddy's in a lot of ways. I didn't hate Five Nights at Freddy's because Matthew Lillard is, you know, chef's kiss. But yeah, I felt like it was kind of what this was trying to do, but didn't quite succeed as well.
Yeah.
Not saying it's a great movie, but it was definitely entertaining, and boy, was it bloody. Whew.
All right.
Yowza.
I'm going to blow this up. Ready?
Bye, Pooh.
And what are we watching next week?
From 2018, we have...
The Dead Center.
And I believe we got this one at Beach Boys Toys.
Oh, I think you are correct. Beach Boys Toys is here in Rockford, Illinois, owned by Jeremy and I always forget his brother's name.
I forgot his brother's name, but
the Beach Brothers.
We've mostly interacted with Jeremy, and he's such a nice guy. If you're in the Rockford area and you're looking for vintage toys or new toys and movies,
He's
games,
got impeccable taste,
including like bootleg and like foreign toys that were only available like in Mexico and stuff
and
like
he
that.
can sit there and talk to you about them all day long.
And he's got some really cool posters, including a Cannibal Holocaust like original
movie.
It's crazy. Like I saw it and I was like, whoa.
Movie
So
poster.
if you're here, go there. Check him out.
Please.
Tell him the Newly Dead sent you.
Yes,
He knows
please.
us.
Yes. Okay. So The Dead Center. It's a masterful new voice in terror.
Oh, they like to say that a lot.
Yeah, sublimely creepy, genuinely impressive. The back of this looks really creepy. All
Yeah,
right.
it looks interesting to
Okay.
say the least, and it's not something we found at Dollar Tree, so that's a mark in its favor already.
So the top of it says, "When John Doe rose from the dead, he brought something back." Mm-hmm.
What, like a weird smell?
We're gonna find out.
Oh, okay.
Oh, some of the people that are in this are in some like Preacher.
Oh.
Yeah. When a very dead suicide victim, yikes, disappears from the morgue, it sets in motion a chain of events that has the power to immolate everything and everyone it touches. Psychiatrist Daniel Forrester tries to help this mysterious patient who has returned from the dead, but he has a spate of mysterious deaths. I know there's some very fancy words in here. Of mysterious deaths shakes the ward to its core. That has a spate of mysterious deaths shakes the ward to its core. That's a weird sentence. Forrester comes to suspect that there is more to his new ward than meets the eye. As he comes to realize what he's unleashed, a desperate race against the forces of evil threatens to swallow him whole. The Dead Center is a smart, supernatural thriller that explores the demons that live inside all of us, from writer-director Billy Sinise I guess hailed as the masterful new voice in Terror.
Huh. So this is from 2018. I don't know. I've never heard his name before, so I don't know how masterful he was. I
It
guess
says
we'll find
gets
out.
under your skin in the same ways that It Follows and The Autopsy of Jane Doe did.
We've seen both of those a few times. I've seen them both. At
You
least.
like It Follows.
I've seen It Follow several times, and I've seen The Autopsy of Jane Doe a couple times.
This is intriguing.
Yeah, we always say that, and then we're either like really hyped about it or we're really let down.
Every time I'm like, I'm excited. I need to not say I'm excited.
When you started giving the big words thing, I was like, "Where's Mr. Milchick when we need him?"
Yeah, exactly. Stop using
Very verbose.
big words. Yeah,
Yeah.
very verbose. Okay, well, that is the end of our show. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. And until next week.
Keep it cheap and creepy.
Doesn't mean you should go chasing the dead.
It may be your robot, but it's my house.
I'm gonna get a close look at these sharks.
Sounds dangerous.
Well, I'll be careful.
Oh, bother.